These are the most famous vintage lenses on the planet. Helios 44 lenses, made in the Soviet Union in the 1970s. I've got two different versions. Which one's better? I'm going to dive into that in this week's video. I'm not going to get into specs so much in this video, but more the character of these lenses and how they differ. And that might help you choose which version to buy for you. Helios lenses are among the cheapest vintage lenses that you can buy. That sounds really simple. I know when I was searching for them, it was really confusing trying to sort out all the different types and where they were manufactured. It was information overload. Ultimately, I settled on two Helios lenses, different kinds. From a design standpoint, that small f-stop ring on the front of the Helios 44-2 is kind of awkward for me because I have big hands. I do like where it's located on the 44M. It just seems more of a traditional placement. I do like the nice chunky look of the front of the 44M. The 44-2 almost reminds me of those recessed macro lenses where it's set in further. It's worth noting that these two lenses do have different size filter threads on the front. Alright, let's get into the different looks of these lenses, and keep in mind I just said different looks. This is about personal taste and what you find more pleasing to your eyes. One thing I like about the 44M is the image quality has character, but it's not too far baked in, if you know what I mean. Saturation is really pleasing. It handles highlights really well, and the side-to-side looks really good on the image. I would call this more of a semi-flat look. In the 44-2, I can really get that vintage look vibe here. Saturation is much less intense than the 44M. Highlights are really subdued. If you do a lot of video work in nature, you can really see how the earthy tones really shine in this clip. When it comes to flares, I'm going to get much more pronounced flares with the 44M. Having said that though, I have to be careful that I don't overdo it. Harsh flares can actually be really distracting. With the 44-2, it's a whole different story. Look at that nice round swirly bokeh. And it seems to handle the light more like ghosting, just that faint ghosting look across the image. You feel like you're gaining a little bit of clarity about these two particular lenses? This is the part in the video where I throw you a little bit of a curveball. When it comes to my version of the 44-2, there's a little bit of a story. This symbol on the front element tells us more. This lens actually began its life in the early 1970s and was manufactured at a plant called Valdai. Lenses made in this factory were generally considered to be of poorer quality. Production was later moved to a factory called KMZ, where quality was significantly better, or so it said, and the 44M was born. Based on all of that, it might seem obvious that one lens isn't as good as the other. But that's not necessarily so. Which image do you find more pleasing to your eyes? That's my whole point. So which one's better for you? Well, my answer is, I can't tell you. Only you can decide. Which lens do I think is better? I've got my own opinion, but I think for you, you've got to determine the situation you're going to use it in and how much consideration is sharpness for the type of filming you do. Where do you do your filming? Inside, outside? Do you like a more flat image, a more saturated image, highlights subdued? There's all different things you've got to look for the image quality you want. Sometimes I like the 44M better because I feel like this look that this lens has, the 44-2, it's baked in, that really vintage different look, where this one isn't as baked in and gives me a little bit more latitude for color work. But that's my choice. Which one do you like? You've seen the images. You can decide. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.